see that
Yeah.
he posted it, but I don't do that, you know, I just assume I send it to him and he posts it.
Right.
Okay. Good evening. It is 7 o'clock, and I'd like to call the May 18th meeting of the Stratford Inland Wetlands Commission to order. First order of business, approval of the minutes of the April 2022 special meeting. Has everyone had a chance to take a look at them? Any corrections? We have a motion to approve. We have a second. Mr. Blake, all in favor? Thank you. Old business. Petition 2021-13, 20-lot subdivision, Broadbridge Avenue, Ronald Road, and Teakwood Drive. Applicant Teakwood Estates LLC. Is the applicant or his representative here?
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Gregory Podleski. I'm a licensed engineer and land surveyor. Our attorney has not gotten here yet. Would it be possible for us to be heard after the
Take it out.
next hearing?
Just have to take a
I'd entertain a motion to take this out of order and take the next petition and put him
Thank you
behind it.
very much.
We have a second? All in favor? Okay, we'll
Thank you.
wait. All right, we will now, assuming they're here, 20-22-4, 110,000 square foot, 129 unit residential apartment, community building, parking lot infrastructure, 99 Hawley Lane. Is the applicant here, or?
No, it's the same attorney.
Okay. I believe it's the same attorney, and he's late for two people. I would look for a refund, but it's up to you. Well, we'll move on. And we'll go to new business, rehabilitation of Twin Culvert Bridge, 07016, Circle Drive over Pumpkin Brook, Town of Stratford. Is it applicant or center here? Thank you. State your name and address for the secretary, please.
My name is Bob Smoko. I work with STV in Hartford, 280 Trumbull Street in Hartford, Connecticut. And you need my residence?
I'd just like you to spell your name.
Excuse me?
Last name. Can you spell your last name?
S-M-O-K-O.
Okay.
All right.
We're just only accepting.
That's right, that's right. Do anything, right, yeah. Here he is now. I gotta tell this lawyer.
Ready? Good evening. My name is Robert Smoko. As I mentioned, I represent STV, who is the engineer of record representing the applicant, the town of Stratford, on behalf of town engineer John Casey. This project is located on Circle Drive in the northeast quadrant of town. The existing facility consists of a twin corrugated metal pipe arch culvert carrying Circle Drive over Pumpkin Ground Brook, and this project represents the second phase of design to rehabilitate the existing facility. Construction of the first phase was completed in late 2020 and consisted of constructing concrete slabs at the bottom of the existing culvert barrels, and the current design anticipates lining the existing barrels with concrete liner to address the remaining structural deficiencies and constructing a third parallel culvert barrel compensating for the loss of hydraulic capacity provided by the proposed lining. I have a site plan showing the proposed work. This is Circle Drive running in this direction from south to north and going around the bend. The proposed culvert's right here in the middle, and Pumpkin Ground Brook is running under the culvert towards the east. The proposed activity requires widening 60 linear feet of Pumpkin Ground Brook and extending the existing bridge deck about 12 feet to accept the new concrete barrels. Incidentally, new concrete end walls and wing walls will be constructed in the western quadrants, and the adjacent embankment will be regraded. As a result, existing riprap and mature trees will be removed along the western banks of the Pumpkin Ground Brook watercourse. The design intent is to replenish the embankments with as much of the existing riprap as possible and to compensate for the potential loss of wetland resources. 19 shade trees will be replanted. The Circle Drive roadway will be reconstructed approximately 190 feet on both sides of the grade crossing, the hydraulic crossing, matching existing alignments, horizontal and vertical, providing an 11-foot travel lane in each direction, a new pedestrian sidewalk along the west side of Circle Drive, and bridge attachment guide railing in each of the 4 quadrants for safety. As a result of the proposed site improvements, the improvements will impact approximately 352 square feet of actual wetland alteration within the project site. That's approximately 0.1 acres. And within the 50-foot setback from the inland wetlands, approximately 924 square feet of alteration will occur. That's mainly due to site grading. Project details were provided in the submitted application, inland wetlands and watercourse application package, and I will gladly respond to any questions at this time as the board may see. Thank you very much.
Kelly, you have no comments at this time. Correct. Angela, you have a question.
Yeah, I just have a few questions.
Sure.
So why are you doing it at this time?
We feel that as if there's still some structural deficiencies in the bridge, and feel as if a new bridge or a third culvert barrel will be, and the lining of the existing will be necessary to extend the service life of the culvert.
Okay. And what time of year will you be doing this?
It will be in the springtime. John, you want to add a few things about the time of construction?
Just to reiterate, there were some structural deficiencies in the bridge that we were alerted to by the Connecticut DOT, who did a bridge inspection. Okay. So interim repairs were done, as Bob had mentioned, but then this project is the full rehabilitation of the bridge to bring it to a full service life. Okay. The timing, we still have final design to do. We still have other permits that are required. So hopefully we would have that done for bidding over the winter, and then a spring or summer construction.
Okay. Because that was going to be my next question. Are there any vernal pools there? Because there was a list in the packet, and you only had like birds. There's nothing about snakes, amphibians, any of the aquatic species that could be there. Right. Any of those, if you searched under leaf cover.
The wetlands report just mentioned flood flow alteration and sediment toxicant retention, as well as a contiguous forest with the presence of the trees. But I don't recall from that report, I could gladly review it, but I don't recall reading anything about vernal pools in that report. Okay. But I certainly could follow up on that.
And then just to add to that, the site is pretty well manicured lawn on the upstream side, and downstream is a wooded area. So it's not really low lying except for the stream itself. I think Kelly would agree with that.
And are there any, again, I'm just asking, I'm familiar with the road, but again, are there any fish, any other aquatic life that were observed, or was just the,
I'm not aware of that, of any. Right now, we didn't contact fisheries or the U.S. Wildlife Service. It's a brook. I mean, there's an impediment because of there's, what's that pond? Clark's Pond with a spillway, so there's quite an impediment to fish. I wouldn't imagine there would be fish in there, but I certainly could follow up on that.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Just curious, the replacement bridge, how long is that expected to last?
These proposed improvements here would last 75 years, I would say.
Well beyond me. And then, so we're taking down, it looks like, 8 mature trees and replacing it with 19. What size trees are being replaced with? And then, what's the chances that 19 trees are gonna grow up to be 19 trees? What's the failure rate?
I think it's a mixture of trees and shrubs that we're putting back. The number are on the plans. So you can address the other details, but it was a mix of trees and shrubs that we were replacing, not just
But I thought
shade
that you
trees.
specifically mentioned 19 shade trees.
Let me pull up the.
So we had reviewed the planting plan with Kelly ahead of time. So Kelly, you might even have more insight on that.
If I could just add, we did reduce the quantity of trees and just kept it more towards shrub species. And some of them are larger shrubs, but just because of how close it is to the roadway, we thought that shrubs would be more suitable for this location.
The trees that we were proposing are beech and maples, and the shrubs, I butcher the botanical name on them, but mix of shrubs.
Are they native species?
Anything else?
They're native, okay, okay, all right.
Yes.
All right. No other questions? I think I'd like to entertain a motion to accept this as complete. That's our recommendation from staff. Would anyone like to make that motion? I'll make the motion. Mr. Blake, we have a second?
Second,
Dr. Chess, all in favor?
aye.
You're all set. We accept this as complete. We'll see you next month.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now, Teakwood Estates. The clock is ticking. I'll take the mask off, please. Oh, he did? Okay.
Ready for us? Okay. Chairman, Commissioners, Chris Russo with Russo and Rizzio LLC, offices at 10 Sasko Hill in Fairfield. Here on behalf of the applicant, I apologize for the mask. I had COVID, so I still have to wear the mask, but I'm good. I'm out of quarantine. But I'm Italian. I'm loud enough, so you'll be able to hear me. But we are here for Broadbridge. I know you have seen this sometimes, right? A number of times now we're up to, but we've submitted new revised plans trying to address some of the comments that staff had and that this commission had to provide some clarity to our application. We submitted those a couple weeks ago. We hope that those plans achieve that, and we are looking for the application to be accepted and to move forward. I did talk, because I was able to get and review this memo from Ms. Kerrigan, and I do note that there were some comments that she had. I'd be happy to address those if you wanted me to address them now. or if there were, or if you just want us to answer any questions, we have Bill Kenny and Greg Pavlovsky here, our experts on this, that would be happy to answer any questions that you had. Or I could go over those comments.
Okay. So, our staff has 3 questions and a comment. The comment is placard location should be delineated on the map. I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Won't be an issue, yes.
So now there's 3 questions left. Kelly, you got any commentary on them?
I think that at this point, that most of the questions or comments that I have from my perspective should be easily addressed by your team at this point, so.
Yeah, and we were
to go
just
over them.
talking about it back there. I know the first one was with regard to the stormwater easement and the conservation easement. And I think your suggestion in here, which I would agree with, is that this conservation, and I think this is the area we're talking about in question here, that this conservation easement would just be pulled back to the edge of where would be our stormwater easement, so they would not overlap. And with regards to, there was a comment, skipping the second one, but there was a comment with regard to the conservation easement area and the clearing that will happen. And I don't know if we show it here. Yeah, we do. So there will be some clearing on lot 12. So we'll be, in the beginning, doing that clearing. And then, but we also have, and if you look at Bill Kenny's plan, his planting plan, we'll then be replanting that area, and that would become a part of the conservation easement. The last was with the retaining walls and making sure that's designed to allow for adequate drainage, and we believe we've done that. So all things we'd probably address further in the actual hearing, but we've reviewed these comments and we feel like we're prepared to answer them.
Any questions from the commissioners? Dr. Chess? No? Angela? Okay. Hearing no questions, we have to determine the significance of this application. Oh, no, we got to, excuse me, wrong one. We have to decide whether or not we want to accept this application as complete. I would happily entertain a motion. Motion to accept as complete. Second. Mr. Blake, all in favor? Thank you. So we'll see you next month, and at that time we'll determine how we move forward.
And we appreciate the patience of the staff and the commission with helping us to get to this point and being able to move this forward. So thank you very much for that.
Okay. Next item of business is the 129-unit residential apartment at 2,500 square foot community building at 99 Hawley Lane, Mountain Development Corp. Applicant or representative present. Thank you.
Chairman, Commissioners, Chris Russo with Russo and Rizzio LLC, offices at 10 Sasco Hill Road in Fairfield, here on behalf of the applicant. This was accepted at your last application, and we certainly understand this is, this is a big project. It's a residential apartment building with 126 units. We are, one of the great things about this site is it's a very large site, and our team, Pat Rose, who's the engineer on this, was able to design this building with what we think is pretty significant buffer to the wetlands to make sure we have a sizable wetlands located at the rear of this property. I'm sure you all are familiar with it, 99 Hawley Lane. And so, and I detailed this in my narrative, but we are able to build this building in most of its impervious areas outside 100 feet of the wetlands. We do have a, sizable building, a sizable parking area, but we, with the way the site's laid out, we're able to stay away from the wetlands, I think, a good deal. Really, the only kind of significant thing within that 100 feet is there's the stormwater outlets, which will discharge within the 100 feet, but obviously that's treated water. So even though this project's fairly substantial, luckily the site topography allows us to build this, which in a way that we feel protects the wetlands. And in fact, if you look, one of the things, if you look at the design of the building and the way it's kind of laid out, we actually turned the building and its courtyards towards the wetlands. So it's something that our residents, hopefully if this is approved, can look out and enjoy. So we think it's a feature that's a benefit, that's going to be a benefit to the apartment building. We had looked at multiple designs, alternate designs, including splitting the buildings. But the truth of the matter is the single building allowed us to have less impervious area, stay further away from the wetlands. And that's why we chose the design that you see in our application. Happy to answer any questions I can, understanding that it's, it is a rather large apartment building.
We have some comments. I don't know if you want to address them now, Kelly, or if we should just...
Yeah, I think I provided those comments to you maybe prior to the last meeting, or?
Yes,
Yep,
yeah,
okay, yep.
yeah, and we had them, and we actually have a response drafted from the town engineer. We had comments from the town engineer. Our engineer responded. The first comment was with regard to the fact that the project's located within the Natural Diversity Database area. And our engineer responded that we're aware of that, and that an application for a request for National Diversity Database review has been sent to DEEP. There was the next comment was with regards to the species on our planning schedule. We've actually revised it to remove that species that was asked. The applicant should prepare a wetland impact assessment to detail how the development may impact the wetland. We're currently working on that, and so we'll have that before the next hearing. We'll submit it so staff can review. Next comment was regard to if there was bedrock removal anticipated during development. The engineer responded that yes, bedrock removal is anticipated. The quantity of bedrock to be removed has been estimated to be around 20,000 cubic yards. We added a note to our site plans that called out the locations where there will be bedrock removal. And he also noted that line drilling and blasting will be required for the bedrock removal. And then there's another comment, it's the last comment, where regarding the approximate cut to fill of 25,000 cubic yards of soil and rocky material, staff asked that clarification is needed as to whether there is an export or import of material to the site, as it's a rather significant quantity of earth material to be moving. The engineer responded, a preliminary earthwork calculation has been done. There's an estimated 22,500 cubic yards of cut volume and 21,500 cubic yards of fill volume of earth material to bring the site from the existing grade to the proposed grade. And so that's going to be a net export of approximately 1,000 cubic yards of material. So we feel we have the answers to that. We have the responses. We're updating the plans. We're getting that wetlands impact assessment prepared, so that we'll be ready to respond to those.
Okay. Any questions from the commissioners? Angela?
Are they gonna, I know where the site is, I haven't been back there. Are they gonna have to do any kind of temporary construction, like over the wetlands to bring in all this soil and fill? How is that gonna work?
I'm not sure. I'll have to ask the engineer, but I'll make sure we have you're basically talking a phasing plan and how we're gonna operate during construction and things like that. But yeah, we could definitely, I'll make sure he's ready to engineer that, or to discuss that, how that's gonna work at the next hearing.
And is somebody going to be monitoring besides the town what's going on while construction
For
is
something of this,
happening?
yeah, an independent site monitor could certainly be, I think, a condition of approval to have a independent site monitor during the course of construction to make sure that we're following. Yeah, we've done that on a lot of our bigger apartment projects.
And how about the discharge? Is that going to make sure it doesn't accidentally go the wrong way, or is that all, again, where is that going to go?
So unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that question. I'm sure my engineer does, and I can ask him about where the discharge is going to be going and how to make sure it goes into the right place for sure. Absolutely.
And again, just, are you going to have the silt fencing? You know what I'm talking about, the black fencing?
Oh, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, especially on something this large of a project.
Anything else?
The fill and soil being brought in we'll know where it came from, or will it be tested? The truckloads dumped on the Hawley Lane site that we
We'll have to certify that.
Yeah, we can make that a condition of approval that any imported material will have to be tested and submitted to staff for review before import.
Absolutely,
Yep.
yeah, we would agree to that as a condition of approval, absolutely.
Anything else? Dr. Chess?
So the entry to this space is through an entry to their other building.
Correct.
And so there's already a pretty narrow path there now. I'm concerned about 130 families kind of going down this very limited lane. And then how does that impact onto Hawley Lane, which is already at different times of day quite congested?
Well, yeah, and luckily, I mean, so in the way the site's laid out, people will be able to come in Hawley Lane, off of Hawley Lane, and kind of head straight back to the site, and not a lot of people who are going to the office building go off to the right, go over to the parking garage. So they'll just head straight back, and then we actually have an outlet out of a secondary street to help if with issues of traffic. We have a traffic engineer. I can ask him to kind of explain how he has looked at the traffic layout and how that will work, and can provide a report to that effect of how we anticipate traffic flowing for this many families.
Yeah.
But we have in the design have taken into consideration, having not only the traffic but the interior flow as well, because we now have two separate uses. It's going to be a mixed-use property here.
So that kind of secondary egress looked like it was relatively small.
Right.
And almost like an escape hatch.
Well, exactly, and that's what it is.
But the primary entry right now is actually very congested already. I work in that building.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can, when you come back, if you can give a detailed report about that and any traffic.
Absolutely. And he also did an analysis too regarding the two uses, because they have different peak times, and how that will work as, the comparison between the two and how the traffic would flow for the site.
And the fire department's got to take care of that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
I
absolutely. They
mean,
will
it's
review
their job to look at it and make sure there's
adequate
entrance and
turnarounds.
egress and
Absolutely.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
All right, so,
Actually, one more question, just jumping on what Dr. Chess asked. The parking, is it going to be one spot per apartment, or is it going to be two?
that's,
Well, there's more than that, but there's adequate parking as the regulations require. But the ratio, I can't remember the ratio off the top of my head, but there's definitely one per unit. It's definitely above one per unit.
Okay, so is the parking going to be, again, I have to go back on the site, but is the building going to be up so people are going to park under, or is it?
No, it's all surface.
It's all surface.
There's one that runs and that goes around the building and wraps the building. And then there's another parking area there's a strip that's in between that secondary street in the wetlands area. There's going to be another strip of surface parking there as well. And actually, one of the benefits of the single building was that it didn't break up the parking areas too much. So that's why we had it in our design, to make sure that there was enough parking around the single building, but also do it in an efficient manner that we didn't have to spread the parking areas out more than we needed to. So, but we definitely have more than one per unit.
Okay. Dennis, can't hear you. Put the microphone.
Oh, yeah.
During the excavation of the building, any blasting that you're going to do, after this is filled with water, how are they going to discharge the water before you put the footings in, if there's any water in there? And how would it be filtered?
Yeah, I'll have to ask him on the details of that specific procedure. And I apologize. I thought it'd be something that we would address at the public hearing. So, and our engineer will for sure be here to address that at the public hearing. Okay. I'm sure there's a whole kind of schedule as to how you handle that and make sure that doesn't happen.
The water.
And I know with blasting, there's
Yes.
pre-blast reports that you have to do, and analyzing any people who are in the vicinity and their foundations and things like that. And so we'll follow all that procedure to make sure that's done appropriately.
Anything else? All right, so we have to make a determination on the significance of this application and whether or not it requires a public hearing. I'm inclined to think that it should go to a public hearing.
All right, I'll make a motion that it goes to a public hearing.
We have a motion
Second.
for public hearing. We have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we'll schedule a public hearing for June, and you'll bring the whole
Engineers,
dog and
the
pony
whole
show
crew. Yeah,
for
the
that,
whole
correct?
crew, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And thank you, Commissioners. Thanks for the questions, because it gives me some homework so I can get you answers.
Thank
So hopefully we can have all those for you at the actual hearing. So I appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Staff report.
All right. So I'm finally recommending the release of the following performance bonds in their entirety: 2019-6, 2019-7, 2019-8, and 2019-9. Those are for the homes that were just constructed on Nicky Lane Circle.
21,000, pretty good.
Okay.
And I think you'll have to make a motion.
Yeah, so I think we need a motion to release those bonds.
Yeah.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? So, okay, Kelly, you're all set.
All right, and then I am also recommending a partial release for 2020-10. The only reason I'm recommending partial release is because all of the trees were incorrectly planted, and they have not rectified that as of yet, but they have requested a partial release, so we will give them that.
Okay. We have a motion for that?
Yeah, I make a motion.
Motion,
Partial release.
second, all in
Second.
favor? Okay. Now, Kelly has a cease and desist order for,
Oh, yeah.
It's
tearing
related,
up the wetland boundary markers and planting stuff and so forth and so on.
right, so I issued a cease and desist and gave to the two property owners at 176 and 165 Lindquist Drive, and gave them until yesterday to respond, so I gave them a 10-day period to respond directly to me to discuss. No one has reached out to me, so I'm going to issue an order to appear before the commission at our next meeting. I was informed by our engineering department, just to backtrack a little bit, because the town has a right-of-way for that. There's a hammerhead turnaround at the end of Lindquist Drive that we all approved as part of 2020-1, and they put up no trespassing signs, even though that is a town right-of-way. So Public Works had to go in and remove those signs and make sure that everyone understood that they could access that for a turnaround. And while our engineering department was there, they noted that there was a lot of clearing that had occurred, and I went out and inspected. And both homeowners have removed all of the posts and the placards that marked where the conservation easement boundary was, and they've removed a significant quantity of vegetation into and up against the wetland, which is in violation of both the inland wetlands permit as well as the conservation easement. So yeah, I'll be issuing them. I only have received one certified letter mailing back so far, with the return receipt. I haven't received the other one, but I'll be issuing another certified letter with an order to appear.
Okay. So what do they do, just take it out and put grass in?
No, there's no grass. They just are mowing everything down. There's just piles of wood and trees are cut down, shrubs are cut down, there's piles of brush, there's trees everywhere, so.
What kind of fine gets levied?
So first, I try to give them a chance to reach out to me directly so we can talk about our restoration plan. But what I would like to see versus a fine would be for them to come up with a restoration plan and actually implement that plan. So we're going to take baby steps, I guess, if you want to say that like that. And then if they aren't compliant, then we'll have to issue a fine. That would probably be equivalent to what it might cost to restore.
Right, I mean, if we issue a fine
What's that?
and they don't pay it,
Oh, yeah, that would be the first
we
option.
put a lien on the
Yep.
property and we'll get our money sooner or later.
Right, but again, my way of thinking of it is that they knew that what they were doing, so they should restore it and get a fine. So, so there shouldn't be one or the other, but maybe both.
I think that's good input.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Kelly, got anything in administration report? Doesn't look like anything.
Nope.
Okay, so, before we adjourn, I'm sure that we should schedule a site visit to Teakwood Estates, preferably before the public hearing.
I agree.
I'm sure there's going to be a fair amount of conversation from the public on it, and I think it would behoove us all to have actually been on the site and see it. So I'd like to suggest that we do that. We're not going to make a determination for a public hearing on that Teakwood until next month. So if we make a determination next month, then it will be August at the earliest when we had a public hearing on that, 'cause, no,
It could be
July.
July, yep.
Excuse me, July. So I'd like to suggest that we do that.
Okay. All right.
I don't know
Yeah,
if anybody can go anytime or only Saturdays or what, we'll have to figure that out.
I can set up a poll similar to how we did 350 Whippoorwill. I can set up like a doodle poll, and we can see when everyone's available.
Yep.
And I'll coordinate with, of course, the applicant on that. And then if there's a quorum, we will have to have a public notice about it. So,
Right.
which is fine, which is totally
That's fine,
fine.
it's just
Yeah.
public notice that
Yep.
there's going to be a site visit
Yep.
by a quorum of the
Yeah,
commission.
if we get a quorum, and if not, then, if we don't have a quorum, then we can go there without notice.
So,
To the public, we'll still notify the applicant.
Are we gonna be able to do that one
do you
site
think we
in
should
the
do
whole?
that on this, behind the armory too?
We can, yeah.
'Cause
Let's
There'll
do-
be
we
a
can do-
lot of people.
We can do both, if we wanna just. we can-
I think it might not be a bad idea to look at this apartment house site either. It's a 30-acre site.
Yeah.
It's a big piece of property behind the armory.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've already had people calling me up, you know,
Yeah.
so I'm sure, again, I'm just guessing, but I'm sure that there'll be more than a few people at a public hearing, and,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, I don't want to sit up here like a bunch of dummies.
Yeah, right.
Okay, that's something that we can do. We can set up them both for the same time slot or
Right,
so,
I
and then
mean-
just carpool from one to the other if you like. Yep.
Okay, because that's gonna be,
That's all that I got.
that was gonna be my question. Are we gonna be able to do the whole Teakwood in one shot? Are we just gonna walk the road? How are we gonna do it?
I mean, we don't,
Wear your hiking boots.
when we
Okay.
go on a site visit, we don't have to traipse over every square inch of it, but, you know, at least say, I've been there, I know what it looks like. Is it flat, is it steep, is it wet, you know, whatever. So I think that would be good if we did that on these two, because they're both fairly involved projects, and I've already had comments, so I know that there'll be some public interest in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Well, I'll make that motion to
Do we have
adjourn.
a second? All in favor? Thank you.